Golden State Media Concepts Fantasy Football Podcast is your one-stop shop for fantasy football news and advice. Can't decide on who to draft on the first round? Going gaga on how to line up your team? Got you covered. Traditional leagues, Dynasty League, PPR League, IDP League, even Daily Fantasy Football League. Join us as we break down all the questions of fantasy football. It's the Golden State Media Concepts Fantasy Football Podcast.
Welcome, everyone, to the GSMC Fantasy Football Podcast. I am your host, Jeff Malinoff, and with me is my opponent, Mark Souza.
Opponent?
Well, we're usually opponents in these kind of things.
Mm-hmm.
We got a lot to talk about today. We got our startums and situms, as well as our
bold predictions
of the
injury
week.
News.
Yes.
And, of course, what do we do at the end?
We do our fantasy picks. 50 push-ups are on the line, but we'll see who does them.
They'll be paid in full.
They will. We will start with our stardoms because that's how we do things.
Yeah, sure. Let's do it.
All right. Quarterbacks, go.
I like Mitch Trubisky this week against the 49ers.
Who's not starting him at this point?
He's actually available in a lot of leagues.
Still? It's kind of surprising.
Yeah, I mean...
Well, whoever has him
he's not a top 10 fantasy quarterback, so... with that being said...
He's had some breakout games. That's why I assume people would start him.
Right, but I would start him over Tom Brady. I'd start him over Phillip Rivers. I'd start him over Jameis Winston, amongst others. I just think that... I don't think he has a ton of upside. Like, I don't think he'll have, like, a big game, like a 40 or 50-point game like he's had this year. But I think he's such a solid play for a Bears team that should... not have too much resistance from a 49ers defense. I think Trubisky's a solid bet to get at least 16 fantasy points. He probably finishes around 20, 21.
Yeah, sounds about right. For me, I have Sam Darnold against Green Bay.
Sam Darnold, okay.
Because Green Bay...
He's definitely a player that's not owned very much.
I pick guys that are probably not as owned as much.
I like Sam Darnold this week.
Green Bay is, well... let's face it, they're a shadow of their former selves, and their defense has never been the best.
That's true.
So I think Darnold could easily take advantage of this situation. That's just how I see it. Do you have any other quarterbacks?
I do. Dak Prescott, I do have also as a stardom. He is coming off a terrible game in which his team was shut out.
He didn't score any. Well, he scored, 5 points at best?
It was very low. He's at home against a Tampa Bay Buccaneers team that is very, very forgiving to quarterbacks, especially struggling quarterbacks. So he had no touchdowns and a pick last week in their loss. I think he bounces back. I see him with at least 250 and at least one touchdown pass. I think at minimum you're looking at 15 fantasy points. I think the sweet spot's probably 20 points. Yeah, I'd say 20 points. But there is certainly upside there as... he has the opportunity to throw a couple short ones to Ezekiel Elliott and have him do all the tough work and maybe get you a cheap touchdown pass in there. So I like the upside.
Sorry, I guess someone texted me the Macho Man Jingle Bell song. Thanks, guy.
So who do you got next for quarterback?
I have Case Keenum for Oakland.
Oh, what?
Against Oakland.
Yeah, I don't know, though.
Well, I'm not going to pick let's go with the obvious choices. I have to go with the guys that people yeah. So Case Keenum.
You like Keenum over like Foles?
Oh, yeah, against Oakland? This is the guy that
Keenum over Brady?
Yeah, spoiler for my situm.
Mm-hmm.
But Case Keenum against Oakland just...
Keenum over Josh Allen?
Yes. Because Oakland's playing to lose. Let's face it. John Gruden wants to lose. And I think Case Keenum's going to have a good game.
You keep saying that they're playing to lose, but I haven't seen that
I
out
have.
of them.
Well, okay. If Nick Mullins can have a game like that, 34-3, then I can see Case Keenum.
The Raiders lost to the Bengals, but I thought they played hard. I mean, they tried to win. They just lost. They were on the road, but they won their last home game.
Yeah, but I don't know. I just have Case Keenum having a breakout.
All right, what do you see his stat line looking like?
Give him at least 2 touchdown passes. So give him up to 23 points.
I like the matchup. Don't get me wrong, but I just feel like this game is going to be like a heavy run game for Broncos because Lindsey, I think, will have a good game. But do you see them? The problem is their receiving core. Cortland Sutton, Deshaun Hamilton. Like it's like hard. I know the Raiders secondary is not great, but I don't know. The upside I think might be limited. All right, let's go to running backs. You want to go running backs? I can start.
You can start. Okay.
Let's go Elijah McGuire.
Okay.
New York Jets. It's all about opportunity, and in fantasy football, touches are king, and he's going to get a lot of touches. I think he'll touch the ball at least 20 times in this game. He'll catch passes out of the backfield, so he could get some receptions. I think that you're looking at a minimum of 10 fantasy points. I really do. I think there's a big upside, though. He could have, let's say he scores a touchdown, maybe 2 touchdowns. You're looking at plus 20 fantasy points. I like him so much more than other running backs, kind of in the same RB2 flex category.
Okay, fair enough. I have Chris Carson against Kansas City.
Mm-hmm.
Do I need to explain that?
No, he's an obvious start.
Yeah, and against a poor Kansas City defense. I know he's probably not taking a lot in fantasy pick and drafts, but honestly, he's a big pickup for me, and Kansas City's very poor. They're going to be doing their best, but their defense
he's
is
a must
poor.
start.
Yeah.
They run the ball a lot. The Seahawks, that is. The Chiefs give up a lot of rushing yards. You expect the Seahawks to kind of control the ball in this game.
Mm-hmm. And coming off a loss to the 49ers, I think they need to.
And Carson did well in that game too, so it's like he's going to get the carries and the touches there. No, I'm into it. I'm into it. My second running back is Sony Michel, who's had a couple tough games recently. But against the Buffalo Bills, I like the Patriots to run the ball a ton. I think Michel scores a touchdown in this game. I know he's a risky play, but I do like it to be an ugly ground game for both teams. A lot of running. I don't think they want to, I don't think the Patriots want Tom Brady to drop back a ton in this game. And considering they should be winning this game, winning pretty comfortably, I think we'll see a heavy dose of the run. So I like Sony Michel this week.
Okay, I can see that definitely. For me, I have Tevin Coleman.
Uh-huh.
He's playing against Carolina. They're playing extremely poor, Carolina is, on both sides of the ball, not just quarterback and offense. Mm-hmm. So give me him, and he had a pretty good game last week.
He had a really good game.
And I see it continuing against a poor Panthers team.
Mm-hmm. All right, cool. I don't have any more running backs, but we can.
I have one more.
Go ahead then.
Marlon Mack against the Giants. I think that speaks for itself.
Yeah, it's a tougher matchup for him. I think. You have to play him. I mean, you have to play him.
He's had breakout games, and he's not like it's a random choice.
All right. Want to go to wide receiver?
Sure. I only have one for
this.
My
first one is Robbie Anderson against Green Bay. You talked about Sam Darnold being a stardom for you as a quarterback. Mm-hmm. Robbie Anderson's been his favorite target the last couple weeks. They seem to be connecting. The Packers give up a ton of yards down the field. They are the worst team in the NFL in downfield completions. You just need 1 or 2 of those, and you can have a big fantasy game. Robbie Anderson is a big play receiver. He's a touchdown threat. He can go up and make those red zone catches as well. So Robbie Anderson is a big stardom for me. I am starting him for sure in one of my fantasy championships.
Well, you said Dak Prescott. Mm-hmm. So I'll go Murray Cooper. That's my big wide receiver pick. Mm-hmm. Definitely.
Do you think anybody would sit Amari Cooper?
Well, after a shutout, I would have my what's the word I'm looking for?
But he's playing like the matchup is way too good, right? Like, I just wonder if anybody would actually consider sitting him this week.
Yeah, I think there's some people consider sitting him because just the blood. And Amari Cooper has had his ups and downs. I know maybe not with the Cowboys, but he's had games where he just lulls. And so I think people are hesitant about it. So I think there's some people that go to bench him, but I say start him.
Yeah, don't sit him. Please don't sit him. Anybody out there? My second wide receiver is Mike Evans.
Who's? I don't think anyone's benching him. He's still the number one for the Buccaneers.
No, excuse me, not Mike Evans.
Okay.
I am wrong. I like Julian Edelman.
Okay, that might make
I don't like Tom Brady in this game, but I think Edelman will be the receiver that gets a lot of targets, even more targets now that Josh Gordon is gone. I just think that he becomes more of a centerpiece for this offense. I know some people would think, Chris Hogan should see more receptions and things like that. That might be true, but I do like them to work Edelman a little bit more. In fact, I said Mike Evans, but Evans is on my sit-em list, FYI. But
wow.
Go ahead with your second wide receiver.
Well, that was my only wide receiver.
Okay. Tight end.
Okay, I got Evan Ingram.
Mm-hmm.
And I think he's just because like the shutout, like everyone's like, the Giants are terrible and stuff, but he still gets a lot of passes from Manning. I feel like he's still one of Manning's go-to, especially in the red zone. So I expect him to have at least one touchdown catch.
Gotcha. I have two tight ends. I'll start with Austin Hooper.
I have him as well. He was my other one.
The matchup just looks too good against Carolina. I expect the Falcons offense to put up some points. I think Austin Hooper is a solid candidate for a touchdown from a tight end position that, you remember last week how weak the tight end position was? I think Garrett Selleck led the tight ends with 13 fantasy points. So
that is...
I think Austin Hooper could get 10 fantasy points this week. I don't see any problem with that.
I don't think 13 is going to be the highest tight end.
Definitely not. Especially not... I don't see Kelsey and Ertz and Kittle, all these guys being under 13.
Yeah,
maybe one or two.
I think that was one-time thing.
All right. Do you have another tight end?
Austin Hooper was my last one.
I have one more, and that's David Njoku. I think he only caught 3 passes last week, but he is just an athletic freak, and I can see him getting a red zone touchdown against a Cincinnati secondary that can give up a lot of points to wide receivers and tight ends.
Mm-hmm.
So fire him up. Fire up David Njoku in your lineup if you need a spot starter. Daily fantasy, I think he could be a good option too, as is Austin Hooper for daily fantasy. All right. What about defenses? Do you have any defenses that you're considering starting this week?
I just have the obvious ones, like Bears and whatnot.
Okay. What about the Dallas Cowboys defense, who didn't have a good showing last week? No sacks, no turnovers. They play against Tampa Bay in Dallas, or in Arlington, I guess I should say. I think there's opportunity there for a lot of turnovers, sacks, because Tampa Bay, yes, can move the ball, but they also can be careless. They also can allow sacks to opposing defenses. Mm-hmm. What do you think about starting the Cowboys this week?
I could see that. I'd be hesitant, but I'd consider it.
I have one more that might not be so obvious, but I like the Dolphins against the Jaguars. Look, it's Cody Kessler for the Jaguars.
I see you.
Dolphins have a pretty decent defense. They can give up points at times, but they have some good players. They need to win this game. Mm-hmm. And I think if they win this game, it'll start with their defense shutting down Jacksonville and then kind of taking their chances on the other side of the ball. Okay, so maybe we should take a short break.
Yes, we should.
Before we do that, I'd like to let you know about Audible. What is Audible? Well, let me tell you. It is the best place where you can listen to audiobooks. And you can do that from the comfort of your home, from the car, from the gym. So there's no better place to listen than with Audible. Get your first audiobook free, along with 2 selected Audible original titles and exclusive fitness programs when you start a free 30-day trial. So take the time to listen on Audible. Visit audible.com/GSMC book or text GSMC book to 500 to get started today. Again, for the fans of the Fantasy Football Podcast, go to audible.com/GSMC book or text GSMC book to 500.
What happens to your decision-making when you drink? Well, after one drink, you feel confident. A few more, and calling your ex at 1 a.m. seems like a great idea. And you're pretty sure the secret to a great taco is 4-day-old macaroni. The bottom line, drunk you doesn't make great decisions. So you're risking a DUI or worse if you count on him to get you home. Plan before you party. get home safe. Brought to you by Washington.
Welcome back to the GSMC Fantasy Football Podcast. We did our stardoms. Now it's time for our situms. And for the quarterback position, my biggest situm of the week is Tom Brady.
I also, too, have Tom Brady as a sit-em.
Isn't that shocking we put Tom Brady on our situms?
He's been a subpar fantasy quarterback for most of the season.
Yes, he has. He has not had his MVP year like he did last year.
Yeah,
and that was controversial at best.
I haven't ranked outside my top 15 this week, so I think there's better options. I talked about Trubisky and Dak. I know that you had Keenum. You'd start Keenum and Darnold over Tom Brady, right?
Yeah.
For sure, no hesitation.
Yeah. Because the Bills
Does it make you worried about Keenum, though? Because he could have like a total
Well,
dud.
the thing is, the passing defense of the Bills is so good, you cannot underestimate it.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I'm...
All right.
Yeah.
I'll go with my quarterback, sit-em.
And?
I'm getting there. Jameis Winston.
Okay. That's an obvious one.
Well, I mean, he is leading the best passing offense in the NFL. So,
well, okay. Let's first of all, that passing offense is mainly from Ryan Fitzpatrick.
No. Ryan Fitzpatrick has a big hand in it, but Jameis Winston throws for a ton of yards every week.
Yeah, but he throws for a lot of interceptions also.
He's been better at that lately. He has turned the ball over a lot. But it's not so obvious, man. Jameis Winston's been a top 5 quarterback in fantasy football for the last month or two. I mean, he just has. Like, I know that sounds weird to say, but he puts up stats. Like, he puts up numbers. They might be empty numbers. They might whatever, but they're there.
I'm not trusting him in my championship game if I was in one.
Well, you have the Bucs upsetting the Cowboys in this game, so I find that weird.
Well, it's because mainly for, like, I can just see the running game. And also, it's not going to be Jameis Winston that's going to put him over the top. It's just, I feel like...
So you think that Peyton Barber is going to lead the upset win over the Cowboys?
I think it's more going to be a defensive effort.
But the Bucs defense isn't very good, no?
Exactly my point. That's why it's an upset.
No, the Bucs defense isn't very good.
Exactly my point.
So why would it be an upset if they beat the Cowboys if their defense isn't very good?
Because they'll come up big when it matters. That's why it's an upset. When bad teams play
exactly
good.
Your point.
When bad teams play good, that's an upset. That's the definition of an upset.
All right, let's move on. What would you like to go
I
to?
have one more quarterback.
Okay, go ahead.
Jared Goff.
Jared Goff, yeah.
It's another good defense with a bad team in general.
He has been just awful. He has 21 fantasy points in his last 3 games total. Not averaging 21. That is terrible.
It is very bad. So that's why I'm saying bench him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm with you there.
Put him on the pine.
I have Goff and Trubisky in a fantasy championship game, and I think I'm going to start Trubisky. Anyways, all right. Is that your last quarterback?
That was my last quarterback.
All right, let's go to running back.
Okay. Go.
You had him as a start. Tevin Coleman. Sit him. I have him as a sit him. He had a great game last week, but we can't forget about the previous weeks, the production or lack thereof.
Well, look at the team he's playing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's playing the Panthers. Are they a terrible run defense?
I just think they're just a bad team in general, just all around.
Yeah. I mean, but they're not like that. Doesn't mean every position's bad, right?
Not entirely, but I just think they're not gonna stop the running game.
Carolina is a top 7 defense against running backs. Does that concern you though?
No, I'm still starting him.
Mm-hmm.
You're not changing my mind.
Yeah, I would say you can listen to Jeff. I have him in a championship game. I'm definitely not playing him. But I can see why some people would. He had a huge game last week. He actually had another touchdown that was called back, too. He could have had an even bigger game. So I have Coleman. Who's your sit-em at running back?
Matt Breida.
I have Breida as well.
Yeah. I think that's kind of an obvious choice because of the team they're playing.
Okay. Is that your first one? I can't remember.
That was my first one, yeah.
Yeah, Matt Breida. You think that he just gets completely shut out by the Bears defense?
And he's so injury prone. He's probably going to be out in and out of the lineup a lot. That's why I'm also being very hesitant with him.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I say that he's going to get stopped a lot and he's not going to be able to play very well.
All right, who's your next running back?
Kenyon Drake versus Jacksonville.
Yeah, he's just been a bust all year. What a disappointing player.
Very disappointing bust, yeah.
Just overall, like, what the heck happened, right? Like,
yeah, I don't understand what happened. He was
drafted really high in fantasy leagues.
He was bound to have a great season. Didn't happen, but
yeah, definitely did not happen. All right, I have one more running back. It might be unpopular, but I say bench Leonard Fournette.
Yeah, he's had a subpar season himself.
If he scores a touchdown, I'll be wrong. But I don't think he has any upside for having a big game.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's going to disappoint you more than at least make you happy. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Like, I don't think he'll get, like, no point. I think he'll probably have, like, 7 or 8, and then you'll be like, man, he couldn't score. Like, I think that's where we'll go with this. But, all right, how about want to go to wide receiver? Do you have another running back?
That was my 2 running backs.
Okay, let's go to wide receivers. I have a few.
I have DJ Moore as my first one.
God, we have the same one again. There we go. DJ Moore, yes. And why is that? What's your thinking?
Well, the quarterback.
First and foremost,
yeah.
100%. We have no idea what to expect from Taylor Heineke.
I just don't trust anyone on the Panthers.
I agree. What if he just comes in and lights it up and somebody wins like $1 million on DraftKings because they started Taylor Heineke, DJ Moore, and like Curtis Samuel and Christian McCaffrey? Wouldn't that be something?
I would fly to work.
That would be interesting, wouldn't it?
Yes.
It wouldn't be impossible, though, right? Like maybe the element of surprise?
Maybe, but no.
So DJ Moore was also on my list. I have Mike Williams, Chargers.
Guess who's on my list?
Mike Williams?
Correct.
Keenan Allen is most likely going to play against Baltimore. Baltimore is very good against the pass. Probably the best defense against the pass. It just seems like it's not a Mike Williams game. It seems like it's more of a Keenan Allen. If Melvin Gordon plays too, it could be a Melvin Gordon game. Mm-hmm. It just doesn't seem like Mike Williams is going to do what he did the last time we saw him, right?
You mean come up clutch when it mattered?
Yeah, 3 touchdowns.
Yeah.
That
might have been just a one-time thing.
So now that you have DJ Moore and Mike Williams, who else?
That was my only 2.
I have 2 more.
I do? Okay.
I do. Kenny Golladay, Detroit Lions.
Okay.
He is facing a Minnesota defense that will likely shadow him with Xavier Rhodes, who's one of the best corners in the game. Kenny Golladay has been atrocious for most of this year. We thought that after
So why would anyone even have him starting?
Because he's still a top 25 ranked wide receiver on pretty much any publication that you look at. And the thing is that he's very talented, but he is a guy who can always have a big game. Like, there is always upside with Kenny Golladay. I just think that you should not play him. I think that's such a bad play for this week.
Okay.
I have one more.
Go for it.
And this is a person who's definitely ranked in the top 15, Mike Evans. We talked about sitting Jameis. We talked about that offense. I just think the Cowboys really suffocate that passing game. And I don't like Mike Williams to have a big game. So I think if you have somebody...
see him with a big game, though, too.
He could. I mean, this is a type of player who's so good that he could have a big game. Absolutely. I just don't think it'll happen. But I would actually start Robbie Anderson over Mike Evans this week, if I'm being completely honest.
That's actually saying a lot.
Yeah. Yes. So I have... Those are my 4. Moore, Williams, Golladay, Evans. Would you like to go to the tight end?
I have one only on that one, and that's Gerald Everett.
Okay. So, yeah.
He's again facing Arizona.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't trust that passing defense to let anyone get open.
I like Robert Woods for the Rams, though. If I'm being honest, I think Brandon Cooks is going to get shadowed by Patrick Peterson. Robert Woods, believe it or not, Jeff, has been very consistent. Even though the Rams have struggled the last 3 weeks, his numbers haven't. His numbers are actually pretty darn good, which is he has been immune to the struggle on offense for the Rams, which is crazy. So I do like I do like him there. Anyways, Jimmy Graham.
I was thinking about him, but honestly, I wouldn't even consider starting him regardless of what week
He's
this
like
is.
a questionable. I think most people are benching him too.
He's such
This
he's
position,
a ghost. He's a ghost.
The tight end position though is so bad that like some people might start him this week, right? I mean,
if you're insane.
what are your options though? CJ Uzoma, Cameron Brate. Like, there's not the pick of the
honestly,
litter.
Jimmy Graham has been non-existent for me this whole season.
Trey Burton. Austin Hooper's even struggled a little bit, even though I like him this week. My other tight end is Vance McDonald.
He had a touchdown last game though, and I
Yes,
believe
he
it
did.
was the game-winning touchdown.
He did, and he's always, for me, he's a wild card. He could be a guy. I could see him having a big game against the Saints, or I could see him getting completely shut out, you know? Mm-hmm. I just think he's too much of a risk, right? Like, if I'm in a fantasy championship, I think Vance McDonald has a high chance of getting, like, under 3 points.
Okay.
And I think there's just options there that can get you a safe 7 to 8, maybe 10 points.
9,
like Austin
11,
Hooper.
12, 13.
Like Austin Hooper. I think Austin Hooper is a safer play than Vance McDonald. Vance
I
McDonald
would
probably
agree
the
with
more
that.
upside, but also the more risk involved. Okay, so do you have any defenses for Siddums?
You know, I don't, because I know people are already set with their defenses. A lot of people don't have backups defenses.
I think
Once the bye week ends, that's when you pick a defense and not have another one in your lineup.
so. There's a defense that's ranked in the top 10, and it's the Denver Broncos. Do you agree with that?
No, not at all.
Would you start him against the Raiders?
Ooh, that's a different question. Von Miller might go off, but
They're in the top 10 because of the matchup.
Oh! I thought you meant in this season they were in the top 10.
No, would you start them? They're in the ranked as a top 10.
if I had no one else to start,
Mm-hmm.
But it also depends on like who's my other defense in my lineup. If I had two, you know.
I think Denver defense is not a good play this week. I know that sounds weird, but the Raiders offense has been playing
It
better.
is confirmed. He says Derek Carr will throw for 700 yards and break the record.
The Raiders offense has just been playing better. Like, they're not the same offense as they were maybe a month or two ago when they put up 3 points against the 49ers. Like, that was pretty embarrassing. But we saw them put up points against the Steelers, the Chiefs. Even in their loss against the Bengals, like, their offense looked somewhat decent. So yeah, I think starting Denver. I think people are starting Denver, but it's kind of a fool's bet. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I have another defense. Do you said you didn't have any, right?
Nah. Yeah.
I have the Patriots defense. Another team that's ranked pretty highly because they're playing against the Bills. They're actually the 6th ranked defense on certain sites. What do you think about that? Do you think the New England defense is a good play against a struggling Bills offense?
You know, Josh Allen can really break out at any moment.
And you know what's crazy?
He can run the ball.
The
too.
Patriots have the worst yards per carry given up in the NFL from the quarterback position. They give up over 6 yards at quarterback carry.
And what does Josh Allen love?
He's ran for over 100 yards twice in the last couple weeks.
Mm-hmm.
So I kind of see, like, I don't think, like, the Bills are going to light him up, but can't you just see a game where, like, the Bills kind of frustrate the Patriots defense a little bit? Like, it's just hard to tackle him or stop him from getting first downs. But at the same time, maybe Bill Belichick game plans perfectly because that's what Bill Belichick usually seems to be able to do in these situations. So I could be way off base. That one I'm not so confident in. I am confident
The
in not
base is
starting
way
Denver.
over there. You missed it.
All right, so I think that's it for the
Stardoms and sit-ems,
and
yes.
then we'll do bold predictions when we come back.
Yes, but first I want to talk to you about something very important to me, and that is Audible. What would it be like if we all listen more? Listening to audiobooks inspires us, motivates us, even brings us closer, and there's no better place to listen than Audible. Audible has the largest selection of audiobooks on the planet, and now Audible members get more than ever before. Each month they get 3 titles of their choice, 1 audiobook, 2 Audible originals, and fitness programs they can't get anywhere else. There's never been a better time to experience Audible. Try it free for 30 days by visiting audible.com/GSMCbook or by texting the code GSMCbook to 500500. Once again, if you want to get this 30-day offer, visit audible.com/GSMCbook or texting the code GSMCbook to 500500.
What happens to your decision-making when you drink? Well, after one drink, you feel confident. A few more, and calling your ex at 1 a.m. seems like a great idea. And you're pretty sure the secret to a great taco is 4-day-old macaroni. The bottom line, drunk you doesn't make great decisions. So you're risking a DUI or worse if you count on him to get you home. Plan before you party. Get home safe. Brought to you by Washington.
Welcome back to the GSMC's Fantasy Football Podcast. We did our starters and sit-ems. Now it's time for our bold predictions of this week. Mm-hmm. Would you like to go first or you want me to?
I'll let you go.
All right. I'll start in the quarterback position. Tom Brady will have less than 200 yards passing this week.
Okay. I see. My first one is very similar. I have Josh Allen will score more fantasy points than Tom Brady this week.
Yeah, that's basically the same thing.
Yeah, I would say so. I think if one of those things happen, the other one will too, right? So,
Yeah.
All right, go ahead with your second one.
Okay. I have a running back rushing for over 200 yards.
Who's that? Anyone in particular?
That man is Marlon Mack.
Marlon Mack over 200 yards.
Yes.
200, huh?
200.
What if he has like 60?
Then I'm wrong. Big deal. I can't predict the future all the time.
I have Russell Wilson as a top 2 quarterback this week in fantasy points. Russell Wilson,
All right.
top 2.
I'm going to one-up you on that one. Sam Darnold will be the number 1 quarterback this week.
Darnold?
Yeah.
Wow. That's big time. Over guys like Mahomes, Drew Brees, Ben, Luck, Deshaun, Dak. Wow. That would be
Awesome.
He didn't even go to Arizona. You're like a real fan.
Wow, what's that supposed to mean?
Because usually you like your Arizona guys. Like,
yeah, of course I like. What? Okay, don't put bias into this.
what do you mean? We're all biased.
Yeah, it's true. But
You talked about Nick Foles and how you like him because he's Arizona.
Well, no, I was like, I appreciate that he makes us Arizona guys look good, but I'm just saying, like, he has this weird thing of being great when it matters.
He's shown it before, that's for sure. Okay. I have 4 running backs, and I'm not naming them, but I have at least 4. Will go over 28 fantasy points.
Over 4 players.
At least 4, not over 4.
Okay.
But 4 running backs or more will have at least 28 fantasy points.
Okay, who are those people?
I just said
Oh, right.
There's
Sorry.
just a number of guys I could see doing it. If Marlon Mack goes over 200 yards, then he would be one of them.
Mm-hmm. Well, I guess I'll say a wide receiver.
Okay.
And that is the guy, Julio Jones, will have at least 2 touchdown catches.
Julio at least 2.
That's asking a lot from him this season.
2 TDs. Okay. Yeah, I like that. I say Mike Evans will finish with under 9 fantasy points. Under 9 in a half PPR scoring. So he'll have like 4 for, I don't know,
2 million.
50, 60 yards or something like that. 4 or 5 catches, 50, 60 yards. All right.
I'll say a defense. All right. I will say the Bills will have at least 1 pick six.
Wow. Calling your shot, huh?
Yes.
1 pick six.
At least.
All right. I will say that Demaryius Thomas will continue his streak, and he will score at least another touchdown this week against a Philadelphia secondary that can be beaten. Demaryius Targaryen Thomas.
What?
That was a fantasy team name of mine before.
Oh my
Demaryius
gosh.
Targaryen. You have to admit it's good. But not only that,
I don't.
Not only that, I put Demaryius Thomas's face with the long, flowing blonde hair behind him. That's pretty good. You know it is. You know it is.
Did you Photoshop that yourself?
Yeah, I did.
Of course you did.
Come on, you know that's funny,
I was
right?
like, there's no way that's on the internet.
Demaryius Targaryen.
Yeah, I get it.
Come on, man.
I get it.
Isn't that good?
It's good. I get it. Stop pleasing yourself.
Oh, God, that sounds weird.
Stop being happy with your pick or your idea. Anyways, what else should I preview?
You should tell me another bold prediction. Who will be your top tight end of the week?
Okay. I will say Eric Ebron will be my top tight end of the week.
Ebron, huh? Didn't he get shut out last week, or he had like 1 catch or something?
Yeah, that doesn't mean he's not going to play well this week.
I'm just asking you. Don't get defensive.
I'm getting to what? See,
Travis Kelce's going to be the top tight end. I mean, he just is. Travis Kelce.
I was thinking about Kittle, but he's playing the Bears, so I was hesitant.
Yeah, he's probably not going to have a great game. I think he could be okay, though.
Honestly, I can see Kittle as the number 1 tight end in the league in like next 2 years.
Possibly. He's heading that direction. I mean, year 2 already looking like a top 3, top 4 tight end. So
Definitely.
All right. I think Robbie Anderson will have more fantasy points than Devontae Adams.
Okay, that's a little crazy.
You think so? Some people say that's a little crazy.
Crazy.
You have any other ones?
Okay. I got one. Jared Goff will have at least 3 interceptions.
Whoa. Ouch. Jared Goff. So you see him still continuing to struggle.
Yes. And this...
I think that's a conversation to be had. Would you not start Goff in championship if he's carried you all season?
I put him at Sidham, and I stand by what I said.
I have that decision to make.
He's playing against Arizona, a very good passing defense.
I'm looking at Trubisky and Goff, and I think that I think the questions are valid, but again,
I think you go Trubinsky.
I agree. The questions are valid, but can't you also see the Rams kind of shaking out of this thing and just blowing up at the same time? Like, they are a good team. Like, it's not
no, it's not like they're bad. I consider one of the best in the NFL.
Would you be shocked if Goff had 3 touchdown passes in this game? Like, absolutely shocked. I'm not saying surprised. I mean, like, would it blow your mind?
It wouldn't shock me.
Right. That's what I'm saying.
But again, I can see he does have an off switch. A bad one.
Trubisky does too, though. He's had some really up and down games this year.
Yeah, but the Bears are on an up and up, and the Rams are just struggling right now. They're on a kind of a downhill. I know, not downhill like, they're going to lose every game, but like their momentum is not the best compared to the Bears. That's just how I see it.
Who do you think will be the number 1 scoring fantasy defense this weekend?
The Bills.
The Bills?
Bills.
That's a shocker.
Well, it's a bold prediction.
Oh, I know. But I mean,
I already said Brady's not going to he's going to have under 150 yards.
But you think, I mean, you did say the Bills would have 1 pick six, but you really think they'll have the most fantasy points for defense, huh?
I do. Sue me.
I think it'll be Dallas, just because I feel like there's good chance of a defensive touchdown and a lot of sacks. I mean, I could see Jameis getting sacked 6 or 7 times in this game because of that vaunted front four that Dallas has. Might be some interceptions, some fumbles. I think Dallas will lead all defenses in points.
Okay.
Yeah, that's all I got, though. Should we take a quick break and we come back, do our teams, pick our
Yes,
teams?
for 50 push-ups from the line.
All right,
Let's go, 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 go.
Check out the show that's built on the MMA. From the UFC to extreme cage fighting, they got the fights covered. Check out the GSMC MMA podcast. Get the latest news on past or upcoming fights. Join us as we talk to and about some of the biggest names in the MMA, past, present, and future. When it's the fight game, there's just one show to check out. GSMCpodcast.com/MMA-podcast. Don't forget to like them on Facebook and follow them on Twitter. Visit GSMCpodcast.com for more info.
Welcome to the final segment of the GSMC Fantasy Football Podcast. Let's get into our picks. I lost last week, and I choose to elect the pick first in the quarterbacks selection.
Mm-hmm. Who do you got?
You know, I was thinking about putting one of my stardoms as Sam Darnold, but wait, not yet. I have to go safe here because I do not want to do 50 push-ups.
But you said that Darnold would be the number one quarterback.
That was my bold prediction.
And you said to start him.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So who do you got?
Well, I've been thinking about this long and hard. And I'm going to swerve you and pick Sam Darnold.
Holy crap.
I'm risking everything on the
risk
line.
It for the biscuit.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, I'll go Patrick Mahomes.
Against Seattle, okay.
Mm-hmm.
And I will go the opposite spectrum of that and go.
Well, it's my.
Oh yeah, right.
I'll take Elliott.
Oh yay! I get Chris Carson.
You do. All right, wide receiver. Who do you got?
Now this one's challenging, but give me Julio Jones.
Okay. I'll take DeAndre Hopkins.
Mm-hmm.
All right, for tight end.
I just don't think that. Yeah. Tight end.
For tight end, I got to do it. Travis Kelce. Come on. He's too good.
Give me Eric Ebron.
And then your flex player.
Give me.
I like it when I do that too. Like when you think, and then you're like, oh, hit the brake real quick.
Todd Gurley is still questionable. That's why I'm hesitant about this.
Gurley might not play.
I know. That's why I'm hesitant.
And even if he does, he might not be 100%. And what if they get a lead and then he comes out of the game or something like that? I'm not picking him. Trust me. I'm not saying that so you don't pick him. I'm not picking him.
Right.
But I don't want to see you pick him and then you be upset.
Give me Marlon Mack.
Marlon Mack.
Yeah.
I guess that makes sense because you said that you could see him going for 200, so you like his chances. Okay. I'm going to say Nick Chubb.
We have a pretty even matchup here again.
All right, so you got Darnold, Carson, Julio, Ebron, Marlon Mack. I got Mahomes, Elliott, Hopkins, Kelce, Chubb.
You pick like the obvious ones, and I pick the what's the word? The bold ones.
Mm-hmm. All right. We'll see who does them. We won't be doing them on Monday because
You won't be here.
We both won't be here.
We both won't be here. That's right.
But we'll see what happens.
Just a fun fact: there is reports saying the Raiders might play at AT&T Park next season. That'd be interesting. I thought that was a fun fact. I just got the update.
Mm-hmm. There is injury news, that we can kind of go over real quick. Like, what do you see happening with the Chargers situation? Melvin Gordon, do you think he plays? They say he's on track to play, but do you think when it comes down to it, because he had like an MCL sprain, which is not something you want to mess around with.
I think it's too risky, to be honest with you.
Mm-hmm. So if that is the case, do you start Justin Jackson against the Ravens team? Austin Eckler, I don't think, is playing. He's still suffering from a concussion and I think a knee injury. Mm-hmm. He's got some stuff going on.
Yeah, that is. Man, all of these are such touchy ones because you don't know if they're going to play or they're going to save them for the postseason in some of these questions. I don't know. That's the tough one to go for. I don't know if I pull the trigger.
Justin Jackson, yeah. I mean, what about the Chiefs situation with Spencer Ware and Damian Williams? Do you think Spencer Ware will end up playing?
Most likely.
Would you start Damian Williams if Spencer Ware can't go? He had a good game last game. Spencer Ware went off.
Yes.
Or, excuse me, Damian Williams went off. Excuse me.
Same thing. I get it. Because they both, if you look on the box score, they're both D. Williams, so you get really confused.
No, I said Spencer Ware. No.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you meant both one of the Williams.
So, okay. Let's move on. What about Keenan Allen? Would you start him? He has a hip injury. It's kind of weird.
Mm-hmm. Hip is a very fragile thing,
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
And I don't know. Like, if further injury, you could really mess up his career. Hip is no joke.
So, are you envisioning that Todd Gurley plays or not?
No, I can't see him playing. If he does play, it'll be very short and, far in between.
It's kind of an important game, though. I know you've been kind of downplaying it, but they do need to win this game. If they don't win, they're in trouble, big trouble. They would be a road team in the playoffs,
Yeah. It's just some of these injuries are if you push them too hard, it will end so badly.
Mm-hmm. So it does make it an interesting decision for you, who you start in replace of them and things like that. How do you feel about, I know you said not to play Matt Breida, but do you think that there's value there in at least getting some production from him?
Yeah, but again, he comes off to the sidelines limping more often than I can count.
What do you think about Christian McCaffrey this week? I know that he's been awesome, but he has no Cam Newton, a rookie, or not a rookie, but an unknown quarterback. Do you think that negatively affects his stats, or do you think that they just feed him so much that it won't really matter and that he'll have a big game?
It's possible, but a lot of these are touchy, you know what I mean? They could make or break you.
What about Alvin Kamara against the Pittsburgh defense? Alvin Kamara and Ingram, what do you see them having? What kind of games do you see?
If they do play, they will be...
they'll play.
They'll be... they'll be limited.
Kamara and Ingram. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to play a lot. I think they'll play...
What do you mean?
Because it's just they already... It's I think they'll be fine playing this game. I think they're going to pass the ball a lot more than run the ball. And I really do think the fact is, do you really want to risk, this is one of those weeks, you cannot risk an injury. That's why I'm thinking a lot of these coaches are conservative with their
But they're trying to wrap up home field advantage throughout the playoffs.
I know, but still, a lot of these coaches, I know Champagne's not the conservative type, but it's really risky putting in your best player.
Yeah, I get it. I get what you're saying.
Mm-hmm. It's a scary thought. It's you got to think in the worst case scenario sometimes.
Yeah, but do they really think like that? I feel like they don't think like that until they wrap it up, until it's all said and done.
Mm.
What about Tyreek Hill, he's been kind of banged up lately.
His foot, that's my biggest issue.
It sounds like he's going to play, but do you think he'll be effective against Seattle?
Possibly, but again, he's like saying his foot's really bothering him. And with a guy who is all about speed, that concerns me greatly.
Who scores more points this week, Antonio Brown or Juju?
I'm going Juju.
It's close. I feel like they trade off a lot. Who scores more points? Adam Thielen or Stephon Diggs?
Thielen.
I agree with that. I think they'll throw a lot to the slot. You'll see Diggs probably get shadowed by Darius Slay, which will open it up. David Johnson for Arizona. What's your outlook on him this week against the Rams? Do you think he'll have a good game? He scored a touchdown last week. Pretty decent fantasy day. I think he had like 13 or 14 points.
As he's been this season, he's going to underperform.
Underperform, huh? Mm-hmm. All right. Well, anything else that you want to add?
No, I think that should do it. Thank you so much for joining us, everybody. We'll see you after Christmas, of course. But until
Merry
then,
Christmas, everybody, and hopefully you win your fantasy football championship, or at least your third place game if you're in it.
good luck to you all, and have a good holiday.
You've been listening to the Golden State Media Concepts Fantasy Football Podcast, part of the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. You can find this show and others like it at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Download our podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, and Google Play. Just type in GSMC to find all the shows from the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network, from movies to music, from sports to entertainment, and even weird news. You can also follow us on Twitter and on Facebook. Thank you, and we hope you have enjoyed today's program.